Thank you very much. Yeah, you know, we've got 3 of the teams in the bottom 3 playing in these next 2 games. So me and Matt obviously got called up, especially for these matches.
The bear sweater wasn't ready for this one. I didn't. I thought I'd wear my Sunday best. The bear sweater wasn't ready.
I mean, well, Sunday best for 2 super matches on our super day here with 4 games, Matthew. Let's dive in here. I want to put this out there. I'm available. I'm on the market. I'm ready to be wooed by either of these teams, right? Paris showed a great debut in Dove yesterday, coming out on the Widowmaker. Very impressive. There are a lot of these players that are now, finally, years into the Overwatch League, we're actually getting some half-decent scouting from Western contenders. And teams like Paris are in a good position to showcase that talent. New York are in a position to showcase champions of contenders over in Korea. But so far, haven't been able to do that with this roster. Very disappointing for New York.
The
expectations were high.
I'm a bit upset with this New York roster because, yeah, I thought that they would be... Did I think they'd be, like, in the top, like, 4 of, like, the West? No. Did I think they would, like, contend to be in the top, like, 8? Yeah. I think they have that type of, oh, hey, what's up, Griff?
He's got a Paris Eternal shirt on, so I guess...
That's where did you get that?
Yeah, don't ask. You got it somewhere. Hey, Griffin. All right, so Griffin's behind the Paris Eternal today. I will be wooed by... Yeah, he's big. He's quite big. You know what, though, Matt?
He's young. He's allowed to make bad decisions.
What is there really a good pick here? Like, realistically, do you think there's a team that you want to get behind in this matchup? You really think is going to come out on top?
No, not necessarily. I think New York, they've been underwhelming in terms of like the level of talent they have. Paris, I think they've done a nice job like adding new talent and incorporating them, and I think there is something positive going on there. New York starters, nothing surprising here. I mean, you look at this lineup and just the names on paper, right? They should be good.
Matt,
for this team, though.
We live in an era where something positive going on, especially in days like these, doesn't necessarily mean it's good for the team overall, right? I need to see more from Flora. Kellen won a Contenders Championship in a meta where it was like Wrecking Ball against like Baptiste Briggs and setups. This is, you know, where he thrived on that roster. So it's time. It is time for New York to stand up and show that they actually have this insane team. How many more teams is Yaki going to join that just don't get anything started? We really thought this would be the start of him, you know, heading into the stratosphere now with the right team around him. So far, though, that's still in question.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at the roster, like I mentioned, and this team on paper, you put it next to some of the other teams that are even a little bit higher than them, and you like some of the talent more on this team than some of the others. They just have not been able to put it together. You know, Kellen, we had high hopes for. Yaki and Flora as a combo. You know, Myungbong and Gangnam Jin. Like, all these players, like, combined, you think would be sick. It just has not resulted in anything thus far. For Paris, they're making moves, man. Like, I like the support line of the Paris Eternal. Dridro and Khan. Khan on the Zen specifically has been sick. Dove and Wub as a DPS lineup. Young, up-and-coming players. I think they're, like, you can actually see Paris, like, kind of, like, building towards more of, like, a future, right? Where, for New York, their roster looks much more like a compete now type of mode, which they're not doing.
Yeah, exactly. I think that for Paris, like, people are willing to give this team a little bit of a grace period, right, as they integrate this Dove and Wub front line. I've got to say as well,
not much. You can't get much of a grace period, though. Like, you don't get the whole season as the grace.
How much do they get? You tell me how much they get, and then we can start giving them a lashing.
I mean, look, I think you see how they go through this midseason madness. You have the midseason break. You have an opportunity to, you know, get Dove and Wub up to speed, right? Like, Wub, like, he hasn't even played that many games in Owl yet. Dove, I mean, we don't even got a picture for him. I mean, that tells you how new he is. So you know, you got to give them time to get kind of used to, like, the scrim schedule and the level of play, everything that comes with being a professional player. I think you kind of give them through this midseason madness, you give them through the midseason break, and then you kind of judge them a little bit more seriously coming out of that.
Yeah, the reality is, of course, is that qualification for the Midseason Madness tournament is contingent actually on your kickoff Clash qualifier performance as well. So it's a little bit harder to fix the errors that you had in that stage 1 because we're heading into an international tournament, one where we're trying to assess the teams on how they've been through the entire year so far. So neither of these teams are in a great position to make a run, but they can do it. They basically have to win out from this point on, and that's no small feat. Now, I want to point out as well, I hope to see Dan play the Wrecking Ball map, because I think that was one of the better looks for Paris when he got to pick it up here and there. I think he's a really, really good maintained player, so just to show some of that versatility will be good.
In my these games are still important for these teams, even though like mid-season madness qualification is pretty much out the window, because for the Countdown Cup at the end, right, which determines our overall season playoffs, the top 6 in NA, they'll get auto-qualified, but then 7 through 10 play for those final 2 spots. So as long as you're not in the bottom 3 in NA, you have a shot at the overall season playoffs.
They're in the bottom 3! They have
you're trying to get out of it.
map differential. All right.
You're trying to get out.
Well, the good news is, Matt, they only need 2 wins to put themselves in contention to get out of there. But a good start.
You can get halfway there with one of
Hey, it's all on the table at this point, Matthew. Done. Careening over the edge for whatever reason there. Perhaps it was a boop, some assistance from Gangnam Jin. Either way, Paris playing this Lucio and this Ana setup here. I'm surprised to see Drudro, the Lucio here. Definitely looking to make some impact, but that's a nice connection by Wub there. Yaki is grounded.
Yes, how good we've seen Sojourn been. Playing like squishier heroes, right? Like Tracer is very difficult. And then even the Echo in the sky. It's very difficult to tell when the Sojourn's like fully charged up or how much charge they have in general. And then for Yaki, we saw it the other day. Another team played Echo into the Sojourn. It's not great. The Sojourn able to really make high impactful plays, like get like 2 kills in a fight, like relatively easy against comps like this.
Good start for Paris here. Dubs Tracer, a chance to shine a little more now with a pulse bomb in the back pocket, and Myunbong looking a little tasty, but it had to be a recall from Dub. Dan and Wub able to do the work that had to be done, but Wub can afford the sticky bombs there as Yaki starts to extend a little further into this front line and cleans up Dub. The focusing beam there had the amplified damage as his target was low on health anyway.
Yeah, Dom though going to be able to contest this for a little bit longer though. He's going to come down, Meteor Strike, got the power block there. Now going to have to back up, but look at this, Jojo on the point. They have sound barrier, they keep this going. Yeah, they're going to keep this going.
Doomfist returns with an Anubis, and Myunbong again is going to be turned into scrap. Yaki's seen better days, and a pulse dropped at his feet. He didn't have the flight cooldown to get back up in the air, so he's susceptible to the blast. Kellen will be allowed to retreat. But in the Excelsior, have to come up with something.
Dude, they didn't even have to use the sound barrier there. Drudro still has this sound barrier as you'll have Rally, Transcendence, and Minefield. I mean, pretty much all 5 ultimates here for New York. You've got to get some usage out of this stuff.
Dan just plunges in with a defensive biotic grenade on him, no less. Here's that sound barrier. Drudro looks like that probably was interrupted there. At least his target was done. He wasn't able to give it over to him. Not ideal. 99 now, and it looks like New York, they're surging ahead. They know they need to get back in the round now.
Yeah, you're okay giving this up, though, if you're Paris. They ended up having to invest pretty much everything there. So, Yaki, the duplicate, he'll get a recall here. He'll be able to live for a little bit longer.
Is there something about Mary? Good stick, though. Nicely done. Got something out of the duplicate. Now he'll have to back away. Paris here to come up with the answer. The Echo playing in a somewhat hostile situation against the Sojourn, but Yaki's getting value.
Yeah, you'll have the overclock here. You're also, that's going to be the Transcendence early. You're also going to end up getting another nano boost here.
Sticky bombs on Blood, though, charged up. Ultimate in tow. Gonna push up and play some close range rails. Oh my god! Oh, I really feel like the expectation is nothing short of excellence if you're a Sojourn player right now. We've seen all of these top DPS do disgusting things on it.
It's wild some teams just aren't playing it. So we've seen the Sojourn be really effective thus far as Paris looked really good here in our first point. It'll be Gangnam Jin getting to the point, trying to keep this one going. He'll drop as everybody just going to come in stagger for New York.
See ya! Myunbong probably hit the invisible wall there. He was knocked a hell of a long way off the map. Nice clean up by Dub here. Doesn't have to use the pulse bomb. Was probably holding on to it in case Kellen got close enough. But that'll be enough for the Eternal there. Great start to the round, and the finish was
in the 43%. Like it looks like this was like relatively close, but it really wasn't. It was just one fight that New York was able to win. And I mean, I think you gotta. If you're New York, you kind of had to come into this series and being like, look, Paris not won a game. They look pretty terrible. They've replaced a DPS player brand new coming into this week. Like, this is a series you should take command over, right? In control. To lose that poorly there in that first round is quite tough. Yeah.
Ah, yes.
Look.
Yes. That's what we collect from the round. Thank you, EBS operator. I was glad to see that one.
5, 4.
It happens sometimes.
Don played good on the Doom.
Absolutely.
That one wasn't that good, but the rest was really good from Don.
Here's what I wanted to see. The Wrecking Ball from Dan now. Paris have double that Tracer again, but they're switching to now that Brig and that Zen setup.
You really like this though with Khan on the Zen, right? And his Zen is sick, so... You know, with how Wub was playing on the Sojourn, now you bring in the damage from Khan's Zen.
Oh, okay. Someone just got put in a gelatinous cube. Nicely done by Yaki. Forced the recall instantly from Dove, man. He wasn't in the fight when he had to be, and the target focus has been sublime here for New York early. Dridro and Khan, the first casualties.
Yes, Yaki takes a fly down with a focusing beam, picks up a few during that fight. So the Paris Eternal, they go to play in the point, they go towards that back. They actually throw the disruptor shot like back almost on the supports, trying to deter some type of dive, but does absolutely nothing as New York able to come in, wipe the floor of them.
Wub here trying to play to his optimal range. Unfortunately, a little tough to play from here because most of his opponents here play back at the point, and the fall off plus the sort of spread from Sojourn longer range means it's a little hard to charge, actually. You really want to try and do it defensively as you get dove. So Paris taking their sweet time. Dan up onto the point now to start the contest. Yaki given that Harmony Orbis. Myeonbong needs to avoid that disrupt. The shot! And he avoids the ground as well.
Yeah, the disruptor shot there is great because they can't poke and like see the middle of the point. They have to move towards one of the sides, and Don just rolls on in.
That's not what we mean by the floor is lava, though. Myeonbong. Flora, Pulse Bomb, great connection on Dridro. Yeah, but nice little slap from Dub. Paris going to maintain a little bit more point control, at least for a little longer here. Eventually, though, looks like they got ruined out in the courtyard. So what Dub was able to do was really only a drop in the well.
Yeah, as New York takes the point right back. So Paris Eternal not really able to get much of anything going here. As you see from the overhead POV, do have the minefield. Discord down onto Flora as they're going to back him up a little bit.
Eyes on Dove here. Definitely been generating a lot of threat so far in this round. Can he and Dan rather link up? Quite a lot of spread of the mines on the point. So Dan not really trying to cover a specific entrance or again. Listen, Myeonbong is look, I mean, the guy, you've seen him get salty. There's no way he's gonna be pleased about that. That guy is hard on himself. And that's gonna start getting into your head. Annoying as Dan again picks him off, but overextends and maybe overestimates the safety of that health pack there.
Yeah, and the rally comes through. Maybe he did not expect the rally coming in here. It's rally from both sides.
No, you're kidding! I see. Well, then.
I mean,
Paris gonna retake the.
So Wrecking Ball obviously gets stronger in terms of like environmental potential. You also have Zen with a kick, and then Brigitte with a whip shot. So lots of dangerous things going on in the back of the point there with in terms of environmental kills. It feels experimental.
Some of the positioning has been experimental, like, you know, trying to find the first law of physics by throwing things off a cliff. That's experimental. Dump. Pulse Bomb there, but Wub's going to be able to catch Yark as he tries to dump altitude. The Transcendence is fine unless you're headshot by this. Wub eventually going to clean Gangnam him up, and Myeonbong's not in much of a position to have impact post-Transcendence here. Peel the crunch, and all of a sudden Paris back in control. They're back in the lead.
And you look on the New York side, what do you have to work with here coming in? Not really much of anything, and Don has that minefield to spread all over the point, makes it very difficult to contest. You know, like a Transcendence to get in there. Could be Paris is going to have to take.
Kellen not able to be shifted there, of course.
His minefield's not great, it doesn't really cover a lot of the point.
I guess it buys time, means no one's going to run at Dan, because there's not a lot of healing available. Surely no. Okay. Blink there from Flora. Doesn't get knocked off the map this time around. Kellen, a lot of damage there. Great focus in a pinch. Paris able to eliminate the main tank for New York. One very charged up here, and yeah, that's a ton of damage. Forces Flora away once more. Fantastic cleanup for the Eternal here. There might be 0-7, but they're going to start this series off with a win. Good looks from Paris here. We got Wrecking Ball, we got Doomfist-based comps. Both of them, chef's kiss.
Yeah, they looked much better than New York there in map number 1. I think Wub on the Sojourn was sick, and I think as you see the series go on, if he's able to play that hero and Khan can continue this Zenyatta play, Paris Eternal looks primed to potentially get their first win.
New York a little flat so far. Let's see if they can find some yeast and attain the grain. They go too far. We got man number 2 around the corner. Yeast makes things rise. You know, stops them being flat. Don't rise up. No. Well, it's been a tough start in this season for the Paris Eternal, Matt. They have a brutal schedule in our kickoff clash qualifiers. They have multiple, personnel changes. The most recently, of course, Glister departing their roster. And still this team, plucky as they are showing us more depth than we've seen yet.
Yeah, and it seemed like Glister, obviously, it was a mutual parting. Probably just didn't really fit with kind of how the roster was evolving moving forward, and just gonna agree it's not the right fit. Where Vistola will come in for Dawn here for the second map, I expect some more off-tank play.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We're heading to a map that has a bit more verticality here where, you know, perhaps that's going to be required to some degree. We kind of know what Eichenwald gives us. A lot of teams have been going towards sort of Sigma-based compositions. Not all of them. As we know, the Outlaws still like to play Doomfist on this particular map, but you're right, Matt. With Vistola in, it telegraphs to us a little bit about what Paris want to do. So far from Dove, we obviously saw a lot of Widowmaker. We've seen Tracer here on Control. So our understanding of their map pool is starting to expand here, but there was a little disappointing start from New York, Matt. I mean, this is a team that hasn't had roster changes, has had a fair bit of time to try and sort of find their strengths here. And in a new meta, a new opportunity to showcase talent like Yaki, for example, they're still unable to put enough pressure on Paris early.
They're also full of veteran players, too. Obviously, you know, Dridro, Khan, Vistola in the league last year. But Dove and Love are completely new, like really new, in terms of their play. And then really on the other side, you just have Kellen. But Kellen is a very accomplished player. As now we have Flora picking up the Sojourn. Okay, so let's see if this kind of evens the odd here, because Love was really destroying on the Sojourn in map number 1.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if this is a better result for New York. We know that Flora was probably most known for being a prolific Ashe player, right? I think that when we saw New York competing in APAC, in the Eastern region, that's where we saw a lot of Flora, and that's where a lot of his most promising moments originated from. And I'm getting the impression, Matt, that the skill, the floor of impact for Sojourn players is quite high. So even players that we don't maybe rank in the top echelons of DPS players are able to do some really filthy things with the hero after her changes.
Well, you hit those right clicks, and that's where she does most of her damage. You're able to get a right click onto somebody full charge if they're a little bit of the squishier targets with like Zenyatta and Tracer in the mix. Like, you're going to be able to pick up one of those kills rather quickly.
I mean, worth mentioning that Wub had the option to play the Sojourn here as well, but has gone for the Hanzo instead. Maybe looking to pressure some of those sort of medium-range hit scan play, but it's going to have to be Dove here to try and bail the Eternal out of this situation. Sure enough, Flora's down. Gangnam Jim, he has a Hold of Harmony on him, so a little hard to run that. Baptiste down with the self-healing. Looks like New York have been able to hold ground for the time being, and you see the respect that Yaki still extends to a player like Khan.
And this is rough for Paris. You have 3 players here who are going to end up staggering out pretty long. So, yep, you're going to lose the Stola in both supports. Yeah, now you're going to have to wait to come back and attack. So
they can jump off the map if they want to. I think they feel like with, 3 players, they still have
maybe they felt like with both supports, like an Immortality Field, you know, the Sigma, you're able to live for a little bit longer. But yeah, there's a Hanzo pick right away.
You know, maybe that's why you take him as well. Always outranges the Sojourn outside of him and Sojourn ults, I guess. A lot of pressure on Yaki as well. He's really trying to keep himself scarce as Wub now starts to try and tighten his grip a little more. Sonic Arrow, limited information from that as Dove's Pulse Bomb doesn't really go anywhere near Myeongbong. He's eventually going to fall to that Zen, but the cap is underway. Gangnam Jin playing back if he possibly can here, eventually gets shut down. But Kellogg getting rid of the Immortality Fields, having to deal with Wub as well. Transcendence here is going to be used by Myeongbong just to make sure the Sigma can stand. So far, so good here for the NYXL.
Well, that's the Transcendence that comes out from Khan. So Myeongbong ends up holding on to it there.
Oh, good heavens, it was.
Yeah, Khan is
I can't believe he used it in that situation.
Yeah, he's trying to keep people alive on the point.
It's like a 2.
Everybody falls rather quickly after that. You do get 2 ticks, though, if you're the Paris Eternal. As they'll commit to this Hanzo yet again. So I actually don't mind the Hanzo pick. Like you mentioned, outranges the Sojourn. Also has the capability with the Storm Arrows to one-shot up close.
All right. Flora living dangerously there with the power slide jump. Wub is under not a whole lot of pressure, and there's that Transcendence from Myeongbong now. Okay, Gravitic Flux while Transcendence is in play is an interesting call, but has to be an Immortality Field from Gangnam Jin. Flora's ultimate yields the kill on Wub, and Yaki's deciding the safest way to continue to limit Paris's chances to advance. Nose are up on the bridge. You saw Dove there, a chance for a 1 clip, but the Harmony Orb makes that a little bit more of a difficult task.
So now Wub is going to go over to the Sojourn. So see if this makes a big enough difference, as it did make the difference in map number 1. Paris on the point.
Yeah, the Yaki 1v1, always favour Yaki here in general. Immortality field from Gunland Gym is now expired. Pistola running out of health here, has to throw up a shield to try and maintain some point presence, but Dove needs to be getting to work. All this time bought, and nothing gained for the Paris Eternal. They're washed away.
So they'll have another attempt though, Paris. You'll have an Amp Matrix that you can have the Sojourn shoot through. Khan will also most likely get a Transcendence, and you only need 1 tick, so not like you need a ton of percentage here, but who's going to be able to touch? It's got to be Dove.
10 seconds remaining.
Element Tracer still with the Pulse Swamp. 3 seconds left. It's go time. Gravitic Flux here. Okay, doesn't recall back into it fortuitously, but much of his team was caught in it, forcing an Immortality field. Transcendence now going to be used by Khan. Hopefully, they're going to be able to get some more value out of this time around. Kellen, in the nick of time, steps back onto the point and prevents a full cap midway through the fight. Pulse doesn't stick, some damage there, but doesn't really push Myeonbong back far enough. But the Eternal able to get control of that point in the end, Matt.
Yeah, it looks like that one, as soon as they lose Kellen, nobody else there to get on and contest, and that'll be the Paris Eternal. Yeah. Able to take that first point. Yeah, I mean, there were people there, but it's not like New York, I think, would have been able to keep that going for long. So you see once that they switch over to the Sojourn. The Sojourn, obviously, you know, Wub now popping off like he did in map number 1, but still just enough constant damage and constant pressure, especially able to farm up some charge off of these Sigma shields to be able to get Paris over the line.
New York not too bothered here because it's such a slim time bank for Paris. 2 minutes to get through this phase of the map is, well, it's the bare minimum. And it's, again, precipitous, trying to make this kind of progress. Well, I'm not really sure even where to look right now. I mean, he's hoping for someone just to stick their head out a little too long and just get this free kill, essentially. Bear in mind, that rail charge will decay away after a while, and Flora, yeah, had him nailed. Damned if you do, and if you don't for Wub, it's either a rock or a rail.
Yeah, there's nothing he can really do there. Just a nice angle had by Flora to take out Dove as well. Man, the right click is just so strong coming through, especially with some of these like high-level hit scan players who, you know, like we've seen like Hydron really play like really good on the Sojourn. It's Pistola using their Gravitic Flux. That'll force out the Immortality field there. And I guess you're gaining some more progress of the payload, but
They get a Transcendence out of him too, at the very least. Well, I'm hoping to punish Flora there, but doesn't really get the most out of the jump. Flora sees his backline go down and realizes that he's just a drop away. Yeah, he's just out of here. He's done. Paris is going to be able to get some extra progress here, and New York just going to group up for one last fight.
They'll have another opportunity here, get a hold, as they'll have their own Gravitic Flux, so potentially
nerves about Flora.
Play.
Flora's hanging back. He's about to be spotted right now, I think, by Dove. Yeah, okay. He needs to survive this. This is very scary.
Are they going to touch?
Yeah, okay. Finally, Kellen able to touch the card just in time. Dove, though, going to win out the battle against Flora and gets rid of Yaki. Very strange decisions here from New York, positioning-wise at the very least. And it just doesn't pay off. Paris get to continue what now looks like an inexorable march.
I think the New York DPS, they're trying to be a little bit sneaky here. Maybe get to the high ground and flank a little bit, so... a lot of the damage there onto Yaki comes from Khan, so it is a double kill from Dove, but Khan did a bulk of the damage there down onto Yaki, but this is huge, which could have looked like a point A hold for New York. They give up point B now as well. And look at how much progress they've given up here towards the end. Pistola's going to have his Gravitic Flux.
I mean, Pistola is being called upon to be their main dealer of death on this Paris roster. He's got the eliminations, his final blows rather, with both of his DPS combined. Wub, though, able to find Accretion purchase. Rather, Kellen. Wub can't do too much about that here. Sigma obviously showing just how strong he is in, you know, short-handed situations. Pistola being removed once more. And again, so Paris at all times now are going to be within like 30 seconds of the round being over.
So you trade out the Gravitic Fluxes on both sides. Dridjo will have this Amp Matrix though. Amp Matrix plus Transcendence could be enough for the Paris Eternal to complete the map, and man, they would be extremely happy to do so.
Yaki had to get away from that one. Again, doesn't want to take the risk this time around. Got slapped upside the back of the head by Dub without expecting it last time. There's Pulse Bomb here once more for both Tracer players. And that trains.
Parrish is farming supports. Yeah, they're just farming support ults here.
They're going to have them. Here's that air matrix from Dreedro. Immortality Field used so early. So early. The stick can't be stopped. Dub's going to be able to get in on the Myeonbong as Dreedro's Immortality Field also expires. Yaki's going to be able to use that health pack. Dub doesn't have availability, but the Transcendence is going to do more than enough to keep him in the fight. Wub now can just stand on the card, dare anybody else to come towards him, try and pressure away. Gangnam Jim is trying to get some kind of angle, but it's going to be over. Wub finds the headshot, charge, rails, doing the work. And Paris get them outdone.
Yeah, I mean, that is brutal for New York, because New York were playing really well there on their first point defense. Almost had that. Then just kind of fell apart there in point B and then gave out the whole map where, you know, if you want to be one of the top teams in the league, just in the top 8, not even one of the top teams, you got to be able to secure those types of grounds when the other teams are, they're not really giving it to you and you're playing well.
Frustrating for New York. Like you said, Matt, this map could have looked completely different. Paris able to sneak their way through. Again, I mean, Vistola, huge output on their Sigma. A third of his team's damage, almost double, you know, basically the final blows of his entire, you know, DPS line put together. And for New York, I think it was Flora who looked really good in that second phase of the map. Just starting to get some traction on that Sojourn. There's some Adredro's action there. Look at that response time.
And that allows them to hold on to that Transcendence, which is huge to get them over the line in the end. So,
and conversely, Matt, in that situation, Gangnam didn't use a really early sort of Immortality Field to try and protect against Dreedro's Ant Matrix, I think. So Dub's able to go and kill Myeonbong.
Not good. We'll see, though. New York able to bounce back, potentially. You kind of see the talent they have, the potential, right? Where just they're able to hold there on point
Oh,
8.
Christ, I'm so bored of saying it. I just want to see the results. You know, I know, man, we do this every time. We see them go, oh, that team's got so much talent, and then...
Well, it's like
they go
the shock game against Boss. Obviously, the shock played great, but like, I don't really think any different of the shock. Like, I just want to see them do that like against top teams. Like they're a team that we know can do that to like just about anybody. Like they need to just like do it against the top teams. Or like, so beating the Boston Uprising here in the first week, like Midseason Madness, like it's a great win, but it doesn't really kind of change. Like I still think that team's one of the best. Like
yeah, they swept the fuel as well. So you know it's pretty hard to feel doubtful about them. Right now, Paris looking pretty comfortable here defensively. It's pretty nasty.
They'll be able to take out Kellen here. Man, you just really wonder, like, Yankee's able to get one. He's getting Wub really low, almost able to finish him too, but like...
It's the eternal tail of Yaki.
Here we go. Flora's going to get one.
That's huge. Generally huge. Again, like, not a lot of burst healing available to Vistola right now. There it is. Regenerative burst, I think. Some shots from Dreedro, keep him up. Paris able to come back in here, and they have the Sigma briefly to work with. Yaki harassing them. Vistola would like to contest here, but he's concerned about Yaki getting a nasty pulse bomb inside this corridor, so he's trying to hold on a kinetic grasp, I think, to prevent that from being possible. Flora finds another one, man, eventually in the longer fight. Looks like things look far better for New York. They're able to run in now. Flora, the only casualty for New York. They're pretty clean, all things considered, and I had to wonder, like, what Vistola's trying to do in that position.
Yeah, I wonder if he was just trying to keep Yaki at bay. Also, farm up his Gravitic Flux.
Good to see you.
Right, I mean, conversely, yeah, I don't know, standing off at the point there, I guess. I think he was really worried about Pulse, but what are your odds of countering Pulse with Kinetic Grasp anyway? Like, it can't be that high. Surely someone else can watch the Tracer while you're
I mean, maybe even seeing if there's an opportunity to hit like an accretion on the Tracer and finish him off real quick, as Yaki was really a nuisance for them, even throughout all that first fight. So Yaki now on the flank.
All right. Again, he's very aware that were he just to walk up the stairs and present himself, he'd be in trouble. He can hear Dub behind him. Dub. I don't think he realized Yaki was there. Question is, what does Yaki do with this information having been withheld from his opposite number? He's definitely waiting for a signal. That's it. That's the signal, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, maybe just trying to follow up on some damage put down through the matrix? Because doesn't have a pulse bomb, right?
I mean, I can't just turn around and slap him with the Discord immediately. So there was the element of surprise, not exactly giving him any advantage there. Transcendence, Wub sees it, so doesn't really think to ult for the time being. Disruptor shot will be pretty helpful if New York want to push up through that corridor, and so they do. It's going to be a gravitic flux that catches Vistola, who is hit by a Discord Orb right now. So it has to be Dredro saving his life with that immortality field. Harmony Orb and Vistola trying to keep him alive. Can they keep this Sigma up? They do it long enough to at least get rid of Kellen here, but now New York have high ground to use, and Flores popped that ultimate. Khan is in trouble.
I mean, Vistola got hit with everything there. I mean, no way they were going to be able to keep him up.
They even gave him the biggie bag. No chance he was going to survive there, but the fact that he gets a trade before he goes down is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's kind of huge. And now you can come back, you can fight this with your Transcendence if you are the Paris Eternal. See though, Yaki with a Pulse Bomb this time can make a big play.
Yaki once again, dueling with Dub. Dub has a Harmony Orb on him, whereas Yaki did not at the time, so having to respect that somewhat. Khan looks like a juicy target here. Yaki says happy birthday to the ground with that bomb. And here's the Transcendence from Khan. That's been forced out. There's going to be an Ant Matrix up, but Gangnam Team is going to use it pretty much straight away here, primarily in order to heal Kellen up. Wub off the map for whatever reason. Not a great start, but Vistola able to even up the deficit here. But the back line of New York is still looking pretty hale and hearty. It's up to Vistola here to keep things going, and okay, only Kellen caught in the gravitic flux, but they get him low enough to secure the insta-kill when he drops.
Yeah, it's still enough to get that kill. Even though you lost Wub early, maybe you just kind of didn't have like the jump after the power slide to stay on the map. Still big though. Nice play from the supports. The Paris Eternal playing off to the side. We'll see here from Wub's POV.
Oh. Okay, something behind him. Oh, did he just slide forward and not?
I think that was a slide forward, and maybe he thought he was gonna maybe try to get the jump before he
did his
hit
jump
off
get
the lip.
cancelled?
Yeah, maybe he didn't get the jump off.
Interesting. A little bit of a weird one, that. We've seen a few of those. Vistola, 13-6 right now. He's insane. Close to deadlift territory right now on this Sigma. Big part of the Eternal success so far. Can he keep it up? All right, Dreamdraw's immortality field is down. It was an Ant Matrix from Dreamdraw as well as Flora tries to get a better position. Paris have to do something, and quick. All right, they're able to get to the card. It's going to be a gravitic flux from Vistola. What will this yield? Dove comes up on a platter. Wub can't quite get it to Gangnam Jin, and that's going to be that. New York eventually prevail here with a surplus of 1 minute.
Yeah, as Paris bought some time, but still New York's offense looking really good. With Flora now on the Sojourn, just kind of mirroring these matchups in terms of the comps. New York looks to be able to hang, where map number 1, they did not play the Sojourn, they play like an Echo kind of composition, and did not look great. And now you're starting to see them play a bit better. Some ultimates on the line here for the Paris Eternal, though. Dealt with a Pulse Bomb and an Overclock here for Wub. Should be enough for them to play pretty aggressive on this corner.
Yaki waits for the healing. Now it seems like it's going to be time to go. Overclock from Wub here, but Flora and Kellen have already struck gold. Eureka! As Yaki makes it another one. Pulse Bomb not required now as New York is set up to end the map with some time in the bank and even more than 1 minute to work with, which is huge.
Yeah, that would be massive. Khan coming out, though, maybe with a Transcendence. They're going to have to touch as Wub goes over to the Genji.
And this is where they're really weak against the Pulse, which Vistola immediately receives without Dreamdroid there. He can't be topped up in a pinch, but still the Eternal have to go to the card. Transcendence is pretty well timed from Khan. If they didn't have it there, they don't have it at all. Vistola now on the cut, again just trying to be the anchor as the immortality field is deployed to the back line of New York, and keep an eye on Dub. Trying to make a flanking play from the right-hand side there. A lot of pressure on Vistola. Eventually he gets taken down by his own hyperspheres, and that's the immortality field out of play for Paris. And again, that endless aggression from New York is going to propel them forward. It'll be Dove finally falling, Cart finally arriving. They're under a minute, but still, decent little addition to time bank now as we head to extra innings.
Yeah, good offense from New York. Looks much better playing the Sigma-based composition than they did on the Wrecking Ball type of stuff in map number 1. See if they can pull out a map win, though. Paris started to get rolling a little bit once that Wub switched over to the Sojourn. We'll see if he plays it on offense to kick things off versus that Hanzo.
Wub obviously in a position there, if he can, find a pick, which sometimes seems a little speculative. Paris's 1 minute time bank can still easily be converted into considerable cart progress. It was Flora, though, for the first half of New York's defensive side that really stood tall. Able to find some key rail pickups here. Again, because of the presence of these two Sojourns, or at least one of them, expect a large amount of volatility based off these insta-picks. We expect to see the same from Widow-based compositions or anything that can offload burst damage in a pinch.
I think the difference with like Widow-based compositions, right, is Widow has to scope in, be a little bit slower, right? Hanzo doesn't have the same level of mobility. Like Sojourn has the mobility and does not have to like stop. It's like
there's zone control too.
Kills, right? Yeah.
Good to see you.
Yaki playing a little further forward here early. He wants to try and get in Dub's head, show him that he's not afraid to take some risks in the Tracer 1v1. That's generally where most of Yaki's stock has grown from. Paris
First
able
pick
to
would be
get
huge
past the
here
choke.
for Paris.
No Hanzo this time, right? While playing, I would say, a little safer. Disruptor Shot deployed, but doesn't really do much. They're trying to cut Kellen off from the rest of his team, but that would have been a nice rail to hit, Matt. You're going to wish you had that one back.
Yeah, those are the ones that you need to hit in that like medium to long range versus the Tracers as Flora comes up and hits the shot.
Now he can start to play a little bit aggressively. He knows that, he can't be one-shot at range. And that is a beautiful disruptor shot. Kind of know where to go. Flora instead tries to play a little bit more aggressively, and this is what we were asking to see. This is what we wanted from New York. And Paris barely stand a chance at having a cap here.
Yes, Flora's looked fantastic on the Sojourn, which is odd that they didn't play to map number 1. So New York will prevent Paris from getting any progress here. We'll see if New York can take this map on the other side.
I mean, anything less than a win here for New York is completely unacceptable. Now with, a minute 56 on the clock. I mean, if they end up drawing this, they won't be happy. Let's be honest. And again, we saw as soon as Flora picked his spot, was able to find that first elimination, it snowballed out of control from there. That's what we kind of mean when we talk about that level of volatility that these compositions present, especially with Discord Orb being a factor. Tracers get nuked instantly if they eat a rail with a Discord Orb.
Ready for battle.
We'll see if... I mean, it would be massive if Paris can hold on here on defense, right? So,
Oh, God, imagine that.
yeah, with how kind of their offense looked on point A. Remember, like, they barely were able to complete the map. They kind of came up clutch on point A and B. And then kind of pushed it all the way home, where New York had a little bit of an easier time on their offense.
I mean, Yaki and Flora, after that round, went absolutely insane. Both of them have 16 final blows. Yaki's 16-3 right now. It's disgusting.
5,
It's kind of
4,
crazy.
3,
So I'm really looking
Again,
at...
if Paris lose a player, sorry, if Paris lose for Stola early, they need to switch to Doom here.
Yeah, I mean, almost certainly, right? Because New York would be able to just kind of go in constantly and be able to just kind of flood the point. I'm looking at what for Paris Eternal, right? In this kind of Sojourn matchup where Flora hits a shot early in that first half to pick up a kill, see if he can do the same.
Flora's full charge, but hit with an accretion. Rail not connecting either. Still he wants to push out through the choke. Pistola playing that off angle as you expect to see Sigma there, and really important to keep Sigma alive in this spot. Yeah, and you see those healing resources definitely being levied in order to keep Pistola in the fight, but he's given the Discord Orb right now, and I think New York might try and pounce on him. So they forced him back. While trying to gain some space, or at least make it harder to peek out of the computer shop here, but New York don't seem bothered. Pistola there, that's a Discord Orb, again, still stuck to the Sigma. First casualty here, not a great start for Paris. Wub needs to get to safety, missing that rail, and Gangnam Jim and eating one himself. Bad news bears here for Paris.
Yeah, as New York able to take the point, so Pistola has to play up in that type of position, right? Needs to control that space, can't allow New York to walk in for free. But just so much damage coming down onto him with the Discord Orb in play. And New York, after that pick, they just collapse onto the point and they're able to take it and take this next map.
Yeah, the reality is, Matt, when it comes to these Sigma compositions, these two teams might be a lot closer together than that first map may have implied. Pistola was the shining spot on his team in that round on the Sigma, but Yaki and Flora fired up when they had to, and these weapons, that's what New York's been supposed to make use of all year so far. Stick around, everybody. Map number 3, where we see if these two teams will continue to keep it hot and heavy, neck and neck, after the break.
Hit my baby G-Shock, said it's time. All my thoughts linked up, multiplying, no divide. Dropping hit after hit, never miss, it's a crime. But my karma stay lit, Buddha sit by my side.
Major selling point for this New York Excelsior team was, of course, a veteran backline, but crucially, lethal weapons in the DPS role. And now, I'm not going to lie, starting to feel more inclined to reach for my wallet. They're starting to show up a little bit more in this series. And despite Arkenvold being relatively close, it was at least New York able to take it up a gear, go up a level when it came to those extra innings and look like the completely dominant team in that frame.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting now with Don coming back in for the Paris Eternal. Do they want to try and go play more of that Doomfist that we saw in that first map? Maybe some of the Wrecking Ball, different types of tanks as we go into Gibraltar.
Yeah, no surprise to see that sort of switch up here. And I think Vistola was the best player, at least by impact on Paris in that previous map here. So the expectation that those two DPS players especially step up here remains, because they need to do something to nullify again Yaki and Flora, who seem to be easing into a bit of a groove here. Flora especially, you know what, Yaki's normally a 1v5 mindset kind of player as it is, but with Sojourn, a very powerful weapon in Flora's hands, we're starting to see a little bit of that confidence return.
Well, I think with the Paris Eternal sub at tank, like, you can play Sigma here on Gibraltar, right? Sigma has been very strong in almost all of the maps thus far. I think it just shows that they probably want to speed up the pace a little bit more. They want to get back to some of that dive style that worked in map number 1.
You don't think they'd try and play Winston?
I mean, we've seen teams do it. We've seen teams do it.
We've been very critical of those that have done so, right? I feel like
they still do it.
Wrecking Ball's more likely, maybe Doom?
I think Doom, if anything.
Because they do it, because we don't care. They don't care what we say.
That's a good point.
Toronto just wanted to play Winston, you know? Fair enough.
Oh. 0 for 1 from Kellen. Let's see. He's got this. Hey.
Yeah, see, it's really styling if you do the accretion rock jump, you know? It's
See from Paris here. I think this is just trying to maybe get like a pick off the rip, and then we'll see what they actually want to go with.
Yeah, remember when you could hold hook this? Good times. Start making a switch
as well. Alright, so they will play the Winston. They combo it with a Genji, so Wub will be playing the Genji with Dove now playing Sojourn. So a change up in terms of DPS. We know Wub is very good on Genji. We've seen him play that in the past, but now we'll get to see Dove on the Sojourn. They will play that Winston. So you talk about it, like not really loving it. They combo it with an Ana here, an Ana break.
Well, I'm curious to see how it lines up against, Sigma in terms of front lines. Radan has to play a little bit differently, perhaps. He's hit with the Discord Orb, but Dove's able to find Gangnam Team early on, and that Immortality Field is down already. So Dan gets the back line for lunch.
And look, maybe you don't love it as much than like a Sigma-based setup, but when Paris was playing that dive in map number 1, they were getting to the supports of New York all the time, being able to take them out with relative ease. Maybe they want to go back and try and put some more pressure onto the backline of NYXL.
Wipe has that high ground spot now as Dridro is able to shrug off the accretion from Kellen, who he's seen a lot of space. Wipe just gets caught in the midst of the entirety of that New York team. Yaki had to recall there, but didn't have it available. Still, Dove the only one really outputting some kills here. It is going to be New York able to muscle their way back in. Kellen takes care of that.
Yeah, Paris almost able to turn it there. It was a big biotic grenade there from Khan that came in. They get the cart very close to that first checkpoint, so looking quite good here on the Winston to kick things off.
A decent start again. Look, I think things really came together for Paris when it came to hitting the backline in the previous fight. Now the cat's out of the bag about them playing dive, and Dove isn't going to be able to do nearly as much as he did previously over the fact that he's currently deceased.
So they'll try and back up here, Paris. Maybe just try and hold some of this high ground control. You have some options here. You can nano the Winston, you can go with a nano blade. A few different options here for Paris to use this nano.
Yaki keeping Dan from moving down to the low ground, and that is a blunt blade if I've ever seen one.
I think we'll have to take a look at the replay. I actually believe that's a 6 shot from Myungbong that comes down right before the nano is able to take into effect. I believe they end up using the nano onto Wub there, although it could have been accidentally used onto another target that stepped in front of him. But I believe that's what happened. Is Wub was the recipient of the nano, but maybe just kind of got killed as the effect was taking place.
Yeah, I feel like he took a fair bit of damage on the way as well, and he was inside an immortality field, so it would have been a tough blade, even with the nano to make work. And again, Yaki gets rid of Dove. Second consecutive fight that he's been able to take the Sojourn out of the picture immediately. He's really doing his job right now. It's going to have to be a transcendence here from Yongbong, though, in the absence of Kellen, and Flora looks to reposition hastily. Khan turns his attention elsewhere, apparently, as Flora is given a bit of space now to work with. Getting back on the card, it's going to be a whole different kettle of fish. Trigger doesn't able to shrug off the pulse bomb there by the looks of things. He maybe tried to turn it away from his teammates, but he's down. Yaki's still on the cart. This is definitely where he does his best work, and Flora's elimination on Vibe is going to shut the Eternal down again. 27 seconds.
Yaki has been sick here on this map on the Tracer, being able to pick up so many solo kills, really just busting up any Paris Eternal push before it even starts. Paris have one more go with this. 15 seconds on the clock. They'll have a nano here. Potentially use on Don or Wub.
D.Va here to intercept the dive as well. So Don needs to be careful. The D.Va and the Discord Orb is a terrible combination to have to walk into. He's given an nano boost here from Khan, and it's going to be Flora slipping and sliding to safety. Yaki's pulse bomb, I mean, he would have loved another one, but my God, he's generating them awfully quick. Kellen pressured heavily on the high ground, and a two-player binding grenade onto the back line forces the immortality field from Gangnam Jin. He has an air matrix, is going to use it here, but it's a little bit of a sharp angle, a little bit acute in both senses of the term. And Paris will get there, only just.
Yeah, that biotic grenade there from Khan was massive. It lands on both supports, and you can see a little bit from the overhead POV. Wub did like a fantastic job. He was occupying both supports around most of that fight, like inside of the doorway as Genji being able to use the deflect. They use the amp matrix there. They're not able to poke out. It does an excellent job just occupying them and letting the team deal with the rest of the players there on the card. So Paris able to take that first checkpoint. Now they get top of the shuttle, so this is huge.
What's your vibe check on the D.Va here for Kellen? He's staying on this pick.
We've seen teams run the D.Va against this type of competition, and you know, D.Va is obviously great in terms of any type of like 1v1 type of battle, so being able to put some more pressure onto the back line is huge with D.Va.
I see Kellen is just thinking, though, of being a more peel-oriented player at the moment, trying to deal with Dan, but the Primal Rage, well, means that Dan can shrug off a lot of that extra attention from healers. This Discord Orb, though, means that D.Va approaching is a little scary, but it's a fantastic biotic grenade there from Khan. Really slants that duel in favor of Dan. And the Dragon Blade here from Wub doesn't need a nano to have some impact. He found Gangnam Jin on the high ground. A pulse bomb there came in from Yaki. No kill as a result. And Wub finds Flora as well. This time getting the nano. Doesn't need it for the blade. Keeps him alive when it counts, man.
Is it going to be enough, though? Oh, actually, it looks like they're going to use the overclock here. This should be enough for Paris Eternal. Everybody dropping here for New York. Wub on the Genji's been so difficult for them to stop.
It's been absolutely crucial. Again, a little bit hard to deal with those flankers that want to close the gap. And I think we saw, Genji sort of dropped a little bit when we saw much more Winston's brought in, because Genji, it makes his spacing a little more awkward. He wants to sort of just hover close to his target in order to get a lot of damage from shurikens to set up follow-ups. But Winston just creates a zone, obviously, where the defensive counter just locks on that Genji doesn't really want to enter. Against the Sigma, though, Wub clearly feeling a little more confident. Dove now back onto the Widow for these longer sightlines in their last phase.
Yeah, and some really good high ground that the Widow can access here. It's Yaki with another early pick-off. He's going to occupy the payload as well, prevent any type of progress.
So Dan now over to the Doomfist here.
You might need to make a change, potentially.
Yaki's really just doing what he wants here. He doesn't mind that there's a Doomfist picked against him. He's going to continue to harass Dub, who's had a real tough time. Despite that, I mean, yeah, so Yaki's eyebrows at risk of disappearing into his hairline. As you can see by his cam, very difficult thing to do right now. As he sees Dub still get that big kill, but the pulse bomb with a vengeance. Yaki's back in the fight.
He has had a sick map. Flora's going to pick up some kills here towards the end, so they'll be able to control some more high ground. So a minute on the clock for the Paris Eternal. So, you might end up with a nano blade here, which Wub will have to go off with.
9-4 for Yaki. Final blows deaths. Again, having to play a little dangerously, honestly, to spend so much time in the backlines as he is, continually keeping tabs on Dub. But watch Dub's position. It's very conservative to start with. Wub knows that can't really be hurt with that deflect there. Not a lot of mechanisms to sort of circumvent that defensive cooldown.
Yep. He gets hit with a Discord, and then they use the M Matrix, and they do a nice job of backing out. So see if he can find anything here. You're going to get some overhealth with the rally.
All right, there's Dove. Strikes again. But Myungmong's also fallen. Dove able to find a pick, but Kellen caught him in the gravitic flux. Perhaps Dove. That was a mid-air kill for all we know. Flora's going to be there with a railgun, though the Genji's down, and he had a Dragon Blade. Khan was hoping to maybe come back, deploy the Nano Boost. But the card.
Yeah,
well, I mean, a chance for Paris to get there.
Never an opportunity to use that Nano Blade there. Some big kills picked up by the New York Excelsior before they're even able to use that deadly combo. Those are massive kills. I mean, you know, Nano Blade, who knows what happens at that point, right?
Yeah, things get out of hand pretty quickly if Wub's able to actually get a Nano Blade, which he technically didn't at all that round. We sort of talk about how well Wub was doing, but a lot of that was just sort of, like you mentioned, occupying backliners, getting in people's faces, knowing there's no Winston to constantly just sort of force him back. He knows he can play around his deflect cooldown and you know, get height where it's going to be a little bit hard to chase him there. So I like that from New York though, Matt, to be honest. You saw Kellen make the switch towards the Diva, knowing that, hey, I'm dealing with like a more antiquated composition from Paris right now, that sort of dive. And it looks like Gibraltar is still demanding that you play this way. I wonder what we get out of Flora here, whether he goes for a Widow duel. Interesting.
Yeah, so yeah, if he opts for it, I think if you see that Dove is going to be running it on the other side, I think you can opt into it. He's pretty effective though, even with the Sojourn in the matchup. I think, yeah, he's going to go to the Sojourn. I think you could opt for the Widow just because of like the high ground control here at the start for the defensive side of things, or maybe you want the Widow to counter that. But if New York is going to play aggressive around this Winston, you're going to dive, the Sojourn's a great option.
Yeah, could be concerns about Genji getting up in Flora's face. You know, if he is playing Widow, a little bit easier to deal with the Genji as Sojourn. All right, so it's going to be Winston Mirror here once more. Flora just looking to try and control, at least kind of know where Wub is going to be coming from at any point. Darn hit with a defensive Bionade there, and Dove strikes first. Kellen is down. The tip of the spear snapped.
They get a sleep on a Yaki, but they're not able to finish him off. As you see Don, look how aggressive he is.
Oh my. Nothing is more Yaki than that. Unfortunately, Wub catches him as he tries to back away. Too aggressive, too early from New York.
Still making car progress though for New York.
Marginal. Okay. Maybe for a second guessing the Sojourn pick now.
I mean, yeah, Dove's starting to heat up a little bit on the Widowmaker, control some of these sight lines from the high ground. Flora won't switch yet.
Dove's starting to look a little bit more comfortable now as this round continues.
The Gaijin is lucky that Kellen took the shot.
Kellen just took that for the team.
Yeah. That was a headshot that was lined up.
We're really seeing the bonds of brotherhood on this New York roster. That's great. Definitely want to see them finish this round. Looks like Kellen there, yeah, with a bit of assistance from Myungmong's able to pick up Dritro. So New York found the opening. They exploited it very quickly. So they're off to the races here, man. They should have this checkpoint pretty comfortably now, especially with Flora's ability to position safely here.
Do they come back and challenge it maybe with like the Primal Rage? No, they're going to opt to give it up. Yeah, they're going to just take shuttle control here at the start. So they're going to opt for just taking the high ground.
All right, then for a sight there for Dove. Gonna be at least Tippy. I mean, he could see through walls, yet didn't see Kellen coming. Wub instead tried to help him out, gets hit with a body grenade that was intended for Dove, and then falls to Kellen. Well, no, people taking shots for each other all over the place here. It's admirable. It is, but it can be avoided too.
Yeah, I think he was just so worried about the Sojourn at range, and then Yaki. And also, Kellen is above him, so he can't really even see him there with the infrasight. He'll be Dove with a switch over to Tracer, so a bit of an old school Tracer Genji setup here for the Paris Eternal.
Kellen with like what had to be 4 eliminations there, final blows rather, in that fight. And now he's in a very annoying position. That's a nice fire from Myungbong, make it harder for Dan to do this. He has the primal there. not the best situation to go for Primal. He realizes that it's like, well, I can't get anyone in this room. I'll just try and maybe set up the blade, but it's a bit of a non-bow with that dispersion coming from Primal. It's harder for Wap to get to his intended targets. Dan's not going to get out alive either. This is shambolic from Paris.
I mean, nothing Wap can do there. Fantastic play. Reaction from the NYXL. They end up using Primal, Rally. They use the overclock and Nano there to get it done. But still, fantastic counter when that dive came through.
Nasty little back spawn there, but that really can't be avoided here. So that right click is a bit more spammy now for Winston. Doesn't take nearly as much ammunition to fire it. All right, Dredro there given a nade by Khan, who at this time didn't want to push it all out of spawn. Khan's going to be getting up the slope pretty quickly here, Madden. You know, the Eternal really want to try and take some of these defensive positions, so Yaki just sits himself here and says, if you want this, you're going to have to fight for it. And Wap tried and failed.
Yeah, not able to get back towards Dredro. Yaki with a pulse bomb, man, during the rally. That is huge. Just Yaki turning up here on Gibraltar.
Yeah, this is what we need to see from New York, and well, we got it in map 2. We're getting it in map 3 as well. This is going to be a comfortable win. I'm talking like blanket fort level comfortable. As New York go ahead in the series now, off the back of some pretty insane tank play. I've got to put it out there. Kellen instrumental on the Winston, showing the Eternal how it's done.
Yeah, and Yaki clean there on the Tracer. So now we've seen Paris. They've tried some Winston-based setups. We've seen the Sigma. We've seen Doomfist. What do they go to in this next map? I think depending on which tank it'll be really telling for New York, and they'll be able to game plan against it.
But again, the weapons that needed to be firing from New York are doing just that right now. And if they can keep this trend up, this should be pretty much all said and done after this next map. So stick around. Can the Eternal hang on? Can they keep the flame burning? Or it'll be New York to snuff it out. Calling all community artists. Submit your art celebrating the Overwatch League for a chance to be featured on the fan art gallery and maybe even make an appearance on the broadcast. That's right, you can join Griffin in sharing those particular honours. Big shout out, obviously, to the art we've seen so far. 17 were incredible depiction, I think, of.
For a second, I thought you were going to say big shout out to Griffin.
Yeah, shout out to my kid for keeping me up and denying me sleep and being cute. Yeah, legend. Big fan of it, especially at 6 a.m.
You feel the love just radiating.
No. No shortage of that. Don't you worry about that, ladies and gentlemen. But I've got to say,
He's fun.
No love lost between these two, though,
Yeah.
Matt. My God,
No.
they were beating the heck out of each other in that previous round of those Winston compositions.
Yeah, back and forth game there on Gibraltar, but New York just looked really strong in the end. That's 2 maps in a row for New York. Paris, they'll bring in Pistola here for Colosseo, so that tells me that they want to play probably some more of that Sigma-based compositions, maybe some Zarya, no, potentially. We haven't seen teams really opt for it as much, really, at all throughout this second tournament.
No,
It was
just
strong
none,
early on.
right? At
I
least
think we saw one team try. I think Dallas tried it. I think there was
No,
teams
we
that
had a
actually played
Mandela
alone.
effect. So what happened there was Danny said that they did it. He was wrong, but we assumed that Danny was correct, even if we didn't remember every
Look,
second of the Dallas game.
I listen to whatever Danny Lim says.
Yeah, me too. I mean, that's kind of what put us there in the first place. But I actually don't think that they did do that. Nor do the very astute people at home, as there was a discussion about it. So,
Danny's believable. Who doesn't believe
no,
Danny?
he is. He's got a believable face. It's very believable. That's a big part of.
Us that don't trust that guy. Reinforced?
No.
Not at all. Danny
not
Lim.
Johnny's sussy. You know what I mean? But Danny, I trust him. Who did he pick for this game? That's what I want to know.
I don't remember. I think he picked New York.
All right, who you got here, Matt? Then, if I'm going to ask you, I mean, New York look pretty
I'm
comfortable.
riding with Danny Lim.
To
I'm riding with Danny Lim.
5,
Danny Lim says, well, I hope that he got behind New York here.
He could have
see if
picked
they-
Paris, for all we know.
Yeah.
So they will play the Sigma-based composition. So we saw this on Eichenwald between both of these teams. Mirror matchups. So just to remind you guys, if home push becomes a little bit longer, it was 8 minutes, now the time limit up to 10. So we've seen that kind of result in like more long pushes for teams and not really as much in terms of like comebacks, right?
Yeah, right. So we see it in situations where like it's kind of one-sided, that the extra time doesn't exactly equate to comeback, and still getting to triple digits before your opponents is like it's a huge difference maker here. So we're definitely looking to see who can put their best foot forward early on. A lot of flanking going on right now. Looks like Flora's really trying to rattle the cage here as Yaki also dives in, harassing that back line. Pressure on Dredro. Recall though for Yaki. A little too close there, and he's in a bit of a tough spot. He's going to double blink out here.
Both teams just kind of looking for position, and Flora with a shot again onto the Sojourn. It makes you feel like it's so weird they didn't play the map number 1, as he's been able to get these early picks and fights constantly.
Khan feeling under a lot of pressure there. He's definitely sectioned off from where the rest of his team was, and yet Flora eventually takes him down as well. So again, we see these poke compositions actually give us like pretty long first fights, because teams are less inclined to just fully commit you. You just don't do that with Sigma-based comps. So it's a war of attrition, to quote Brennan Hook, and then eventually you can break through and get that bot moving.
Yes, New York will get it moving into Paris Eternal territory. It's Yaki with a pulse bomb. He's done a nice job connecting with a few of these throughout the series. So that'll be an Ant Matrix set up on the high ground here. They're going to put Flora right behind that.
Yeah, Yaki almost tilts out of his chair there as he tries to will his pulse bomb in the correct direction. Unfortunately, even that wasn't quite enough. Kellen's stuck though, Dove. Able to get purchased there, and yeah, Sigma could be in a bit of trouble here. Caught-sided Gravitic Flux, they can't top him up before he drops back down. So Paris have the answers here in this sort of second fight. They're going to be able to attempt to equal that early progress from New York.
Yeah, they'll at least get the barrier moving, right? We don't know how much they're going to be able to get it to, because teams usually will back out and try and not fight for that high ground area here. They'll usually kind of like get the bot right up until, maybe where the line is actually for the Paris Eternal, and then try and back out. They don't want to push into the high ground.
All right, sharp angle here again for Dredro. hoping to turn the tables. And Immortality Field for Gangnam Team got taken down pretty early. Rob is waiting for Florida to walk into his crosshairs. Kellen is about to get Minster.
Yes, well, really patient there with the overclock. So, with the Paris Eternal taking the lead, they dump everything into that Transcendence, Amp Matrix in the overclock is. And YXL, they end up using their Transcendence early. It was really nice pressure there from Visola and Dridger to force that out. So look at this high ground control now for the Paris Eternal. Set up on this bridge, let one person stay on the bot, keep them moving.
They need to get Vistola to give ground is the first objective here for New York. Flora playing from the buildings. All right, gets a fair bit of damage done. More than enough there for New York to be able to push back in. Again, Paris weren't in a particularly disadvantageous position based on where the bot was. But a lot of ultimates there being used for New York just to secure the bot, trying to put themselves back in, you know, pole position.
It's good push, though, for Paris, right? Because New York now has to push into that high ground control that I was talking about. So difficult to do. Yeah, so it's going to have to be 2 fights in a row here for New York to take the lead.
Unless for God knows what reason Paris decides to give, you know, more ground here. I'd be a little surprised, considering they have high ground, but I've seen crazy things before.
They took him from us.
Yeah, okay, so it's New York that gives ground here. It'll have to be another fight, at least. Who is Yaki looking for? I think he hears Khan. So yeah. I mean, Myunbong gets caught there a little bit low in health. All right, they're going to equalize at least. Dridger Immortality Field. Yaki's like, are you kidding me? You saw him look up and right to the kill feed. He's furious.
Yeah, it's the Immortality Field. We've seen that a few times from Dridger throughout the series. Right there, like, it took Yaki so long to, like, kind of, like, make a play where Dub goes right in, able to, like, take Myunbong out. And even though the pulse bump connects from Yaki, it's still just the Immortality Field from Dridger that's right there to play defense, secure that, where maybe if Yaki's a little bit more active in the fight early.
Well, I think a lot of poke damage was on Myunbong as well. I mean, Dove only has to get rid of a half HP Zen from sort of medium to, you know, medium range there. So it was kind of set up for him as Paris were more effective at least and get that early damage down. Riddick Flux, that's going to be catching just the Baptiste here of Gangnam Jim. You should be able to shrug that off with the help of the Immortality Field. Vistola now feels like he's a bit exposed, and he is. He's overextended somewhat. So New York can shift this back. We're just under halfway through the round here, so still anyone's game, but New York need to sort of find a way to construct a convincing fight win with the bot under the enemy bridge.
And like we talked about, you're going to need to win 2 fights in a row if you're New York. You get this kill onto Dub, it's a little bit late, but you see where Paris is able to push up to. You kind of get in this position here, you can play defense. If you win this, obviously you keep the payload moving back towards the other side, but you might even have a second fight.
Yaki has a pulse bomb here, so if he's tracking Khan's Transcendence, he's trying not to go for the Zen. Right, well, Dridger's there. Immortality Field got forced out, so Yaki's going to have to be happy with that. Looks like that really opens the way for the rest of his team as Flora gets rid of it. Now has Overclock available. Had to go inside his own Immortality Field for a spell once more. I like the positioning of it there from Gangnam Jin. There's more work to be done. Paris trying to hold on here. Discord Orb applied to Vistola right now. With Myunbong going down, that damage amp is no longer available. Khan, a little bit of a compromising spot to be in here as Flora tries to find him. He walks into the trap for Wub.
In Dove with 2 Discord Orbs, obviously, on the supports coming down for the help, but able to take out the entire backline there of New York, as that is massive. That's a few times now where Dove has gotten in, made huge plays on the supports.
If there's any doubt about whether Dove was, you know, ready for an assignment like this, I think that's been quashed by now. Standing up against a veteran Tracer player in a lot of 1v1 situations, and up against a team who's really hungry to get more than just that 1 win on the board. Dove's done a fantastic job giving an account of himself. Wub here sees that Immortality Field. Okay, odd spot. Gonna pick that off. Amp Matrix here will let Paris get a little bit of extra progress, but eventually New York are gonna try and clap back with his Transcendence.
We'll see though, you've gotten a lot of good progress here for the Paris Eternal. New York, what are you going to do? You're going to have to, yeah, Paris is going to back out. They don't want to go and fight that up on the high ground. They've lost that control, so let's fight here at the choke. New York has to push into them.
You can sense that frustration starting to mount a little bit there for Yaki. Tries he might to make these individual plays happen. He's not getting a lot of value. He does have yet another pulse bomb built up, so he's getting them, you know, every other fight essentially but he needs to get a connection. He needs to find a key pick, not here, but with the bot in Paris territory.
Right, exactly. That'll be
those.
Oh, it's the immortality again.
Oh my god. Dude, he's so good.
That is so sick. Yaki's got to be so tilted.
Yeah. Okay, Transcendence here though, so good support utility to respond to a lot of these key ults because Vistola's not going to be able to find too much from that Gravitic Flux, but does be able to get in and find two though. Kellen and Flora fall one by one. Dove clearly taking time to smell the roses and find eliminations here in New York. I'm going to call it. I think this is going to be, 90 seconds plus of them just looking average.
This, man. Paris has really turned up to another level. I feel like Jojo's had a fantastic map. Like a few times where Yaki could have gotten big pulse bombs that would have turned the tide. Been able to negate those with the immortality field. This Kellen will end up using his Gravitic Flux to be an Amp Matrix that comes down. But I feel like Dub as well, doing a nice job getting the support in New York.
So Dredra has 3 deaths prevented, and I think they've all been pulse bombs. Speaking of which, this time Gargan didn't able to do that. As Dove is stymied by the immortality field. All right, New York. Again, winning where they absolutely have to. They have control of the bot once more, but they have 1 minute left, and I'll be honest with you, the odds are not looking very good. They keep getting snarled up in the middle part of the map. They keep falling to this flank pressure of Dove.
So they do have this Amp Matrix. We'll see, maybe they're able to make use out of that, right? If you do this Amp Matrix, and then let's say you get a Pulse Bomb kill here from Yaki, you're able to win that fight. You're still looking at 3 potential fights, though, right? That are going to have to go in your favor.
Khan is tied for first in final blows on his team. His Zenyatta is, excuse me, extremely nasty. 6-4 right now. Final blows to deaths. Another way with Pulse Bomb. Another immortality field to eat it up. Again, Dredro absolutely switched on. Here's that Transcendence now for Khan as the Eternal try and strike back and end this round, or at least move into overtime with control of the bot here. Yaki has to go to another level right now, but he just can't find a target that's low enough to burst down with just the 1 clip. Wap now going to pop the overclock, and this means that the New York Excelsior have to give a bit more ground. Transcendence from Myeongbong. Wap extended too far into that. Clearly wasn't ready for it. 2 players caught in the Gravitic Flux, though, and Myeongbong is toast, Matt.
Yeah, no, you're getting them Jin's coming back now to just try and get into the fight as they have to keep contesting the bot here in New York. Might not be, I mean, even if you win this fight, Mitch, you're going to have to keep this going for a while.
I mean, it's triple digits for Paris, man. The odds just don't favor New York at any rate. Dove Pulse Bomb got stuck on the shield by Kellen. Good reactions from the Sigma, but that's not going to be enough to give his team the map. It will be a map 5 here between the Eternal and New York as Paris strike back, and they look to be miles ahead on Colosseo.
In this series has been so odd. Like, how is this going to turn out here in this map number 5? Do we see Don come back in to play some more of the Doomfist, like Wrecking Ball type of setups, or do we see them stick with Vistola and recreate what we just saw here with the Sigma-based comps?
Again, Khan was filthy. 7 final blows, 4 deaths for him. Very impressive stuff. We talk up his Zen, and it came alive when it had to. The Eternal kicked the flame burning. 1 more map to decider in this series. One of these teams is going to walk away mighty pleased. Well, now we know why the bloody Dove didn't come back to the Arc, Matt. He had a team to save. The Tracer play from Dove on Colosseo, a huge component in giving Paris the chance to get a map 5 victory against New York.
Yeah, it was sick there. His Tracer play, being able to put pressure on the supports in New York. And then also, I think Dridra able to save Khan a few times with that Immortality field. Just way better uses of it than we saw on the other side, where it gives Paris a fighting chance here in this 5th and final map. One thing that I mentioned during the break, we saw Don early on for Control. He was able to play the Doomfist and Wrecking Ball on Lijiang Tower. He will not be making a return here, so we will have Pistola in the game for this Game 5. Probably going to see some more of these Sigma-based compositions.
Right. Means no Doomfist, no Wrecking Ball, technically.
So, I mean, he could
obviously
play that type of stuff, right? We don't know. Could see him on.
Look, I'm very curious. I mean, do you feel like, a map like this, right, we're heading to World, do you feel like Sigma is kind of the answer here? We've seen teams that have sort of bucked the trend of meta and sort of go back to trying to play Winston or something with similar levels of mobility here.
Well, I mean, how scared of you were like New York's like Wrecking Ball or Winston-based compositions?
Are you trying to counter with Diva?
Right? Like, yeah, you could play the Diva. We've seen teams try to counter with the Diva.
Concession to 2 things, right? Potential Winston play plus anything airborne, which we know that Yaki likes to try and play the Echo on these sort of control maps. So I think Paris really have something that's quite tailored here, specifically for New York.
It is possible. We saw Diva play a little bit earlier in the week here on Ilios, where really good at accessing some of the high grounds on other points like Lighthouse. See it from the Paris Eternal here to keep things off. So only differences here will be in terms of Diva for Paris, and they'll be playing the Wrecking Ball here for New York.
I'm very curious to see just how effective this is going to be. Again, a hostile environment for Kellen, as there'll always be a Discord war bottom. One recipient of that from New York right now. Let's keep tracks on Yaki. It's a tough matchup. Yaki obviously a vaunted Echo player. But Pistola's Diva, we know what it did last year, Matt, and he is right in there.
Obviously way different now without a off-tank in the mix and like 5v5 who would usually peel for like supports, but I feel like New York supports, again, like no help maybe the last 2 maps, at least here to start things off. Right there, you just saw Pistola just fly up and take down both.
I will say that when Kellen was playing Diva on Gibraltar, he was definitely trying to be peel-oriented as much as he could.
Yeah.
But yeah, outside of that, obviously Kellen now playing Wrecking Ball, like you just don't expect the backline to get any attention, really. Which means that Dove, which means that Pistola and Wub can continue to do just this. Constant pressure. That backline. Dove wants to chase there. Okay, sees a recall. He's going to choose to ignore the Tracer for now. His eyes are on Kellen with that Discord orb, but Flora's able to get rid of Wub. So, player advantage here for Paris. Dove not committing to anything right now, which allows Yaki to, just fire off.
Not really able to find any kind of opening there. Is Lord just trying to count back to the spawn. Is Yaki able to get the kill and New York able to flip the point. Still good control to kick things off here for the Paris Eternal.
Yeah, it's a good start. I think Pistola being able to dive there alongside Wub in that first fight really sets this up. The question is now how do they sort of move into an already established defensive sort of setup. Eyes are on Yaki as well because, you saw him in that last fight. He's absolutely cleaning up if he's given any room to breathe. And there it is. He strikes first onto Wub this time. Kellen dives in. Even with the Discord orb, Paris don't have the mechanisms for dealing with him now.
We know that the Echo really kind of struggles at times against like Tracer. They tend to be like the counter for that hero where a few times now we've seen Wub get taken out there by Flores. Okay, we have the Yaki using the duplicate here on the Diva, probably just to stay alive.
Yeah, that seems to be the case here. And again, if you build up a self-destruct, then that's just great. But again, you can do these keep tabs on Wub there, who doesn't do too much more outside of get rid of an immortality field. Yaki obviously is going to get knocked out of duplicate before there's a chance to remake, but he's definitely done the job. Good stall for New York here. Now they go ahead, but Dridro's starting to get a little bit aggressive here. Found his way into the backline as these 2 teams clash like thunderheads. And we know Dridro's brig is pretty insane.
And where we've seen New York supports like die, maybe not be able to protect each other, Dridro's done a fantastic job with Khan when he's been playing either the Ana or the Zen able to keep him up with the Brig help or Immortality Field, where maybe New York supports just need a little bit more time together. Work that out a little bit.
All right, pretty even now as Paris managed to flip back. Pistola again looking for Myeongbong. A lot of damage on that Diva.
There's the
Great
help.
peel from, yeah, I mean, that's the peel, right, that you were sort of looking for. It doesn't really come from the Wrecking Ball, though. It's just the Baptiste trying to sit on top of the Zen. Good synergy here for your backliners on New York. Another die from Diva. Another Discord Orb applied. Pistola clinging to life. Again desuited. But this time there's a result. Can't have to get rid of Flora at the very least, but that's filthy. Knocked out of the mech, taken down. Now going to be a duplicated Wrecking Ball for one, but he doesn't have the same health pool. So Myeongbong can force them away again with the threat. The Discord for Paris has bought so much time, Matt.
Yes, you're going to get it to 99%. Khan playing up close. He's going to be able to get 2. That could turn the tide here as Paris could be able to seal away this first point.
All Kellen can do is try and stall right now, and he's not long for this world. Overtime about to expire, and Yaki's going to struggle to touch. He won't be able to get there, and Paris take the round away. A good start. Sets them up for a solid finish.
And this would be a huge win for the Paris Eternal. Just in terms of confidence, right? 0-7 at this moment in time. New York, obviously not like one of the best teams in the league, but still, to get kind of the monkey off your back, get that win, and also get a win where Dub is an extremely new player, right? Being able to incorporate him and then win right away, you feel good about potentially improving the rest of the way.
Beautiful reaction there from Dub. Not much time to respond there. Okay, so the Diva plan working out pretty well for Paris. They kind of know they're dealing with dive-based play from Kellen. Wrecking Ball is absolutely, you know, one of Kellen's go-tos, or at least it definitely was during one of his most prolific periods in Tier 2. So let's see now if Paris can convert here. Let's see if they can finish the job.
Pistola. Calling pretty hard, knows exactly where the Sports is. Gonna go dive in. Knock the Zen down. Is there gonna be any follow-up?
Well, it's just terrible positioning to start with for New York now. If Pistola doesn't have to pay too dearly for that play, then you're feeling pretty good about it. This forces New York to play the point.
And you put the supports back in that corner there where you can just kind of spam damage down on through. Nice defense matrix here, being able to keep Khan alive.
Yeah, I mean, Khan's in a pretty risky position, right? He dropped down for high ground as well. He's kind
he
of
got knocked off. Yeah, he got knocked off.
Love that from Pistola. But again, now, what's the plan? I mean, Pistola needs to sort of suss out where the Zen is. Kellen's behind him, a little annoying.
They're trying to find a pick here. They really want to make a play for these supports in the back.
Yeah, but you see how Pistola's trying to sort of pave the way for the Eternal to scale into New York's side of the map, right? Not overextending, but using that sort of defense matrix here to give some immortality. Pistola found Gangnam Diva at the very least here, but they give up their Diva. Kellen's low and is forced to back away, go for some health packs here as there's no burst healing. This might have set things up for Paris here. Flora's going to try and interrupt the cap, but very much alone. Kellen, less than half health, more moving into a Discord Orb situation. Yeah, that's a death.
And just so much damage gets put down when they push on forward with Pistola. Like you see, he was at like 200 HP, like with the Discord, just pushes on forward. Just knows on the Diva he can just output so much damage. Has some teammates there to help out as Dove lands another pulse bomb here.
We got a really extended neutral fight there from these two teams. It doesn't look like you would expect it to in like a Ryan v Ryan setup, right? It's both of the main tanks trying to jockey for space and then maybe sort of set up a situation where a player's isolated enough to guarantee a pick, but it went for like a minute straight. You know, seeing it from Pistola's point of view was really fascinating. And you see how he had to juggle his response. This is very aggressive, but they get Gangnam Diva at the very least here. Forces Transcendence though, but New York get very little value out of that ultimate.
So now you see Dridrio actually has the rally going. They're down a player. That was like a really weird long flank there from the supports in the tank.
I think they got lost in the source.
Yeah, that's a bit rough there in that situation. So Pistola looks like they want to push forward. Yeah, they're going to get him out of his mech. I imagine he'll jump off the side.
Yes, he will.
Yeah.
This ain't no Super Mario Sunshine, baby. All right. Well, they need Pistola now, the Eternal. And again, it'll be a pretty elongated phase of trying to get information. and then act on it in terms of, you know, finding a collapse on a Zen or something similar. But meanwhile, New York are at 85.
Yeah, self-destruct like move, just kind of get a new mech, maybe kind of separate players off the point. Be a duplicate here. Whoa, wow, that is a fast kill there from Yaki on the dub.
Yeah, he is stepping it up a notch here, right when he has to. Well, gets bonked. Transcendence here for Paris is its last chance. But again, can't do too much with it, even for Stoller inside. The Transcendence of Khan, smacked of desperation. Won't be able to remake at all. This one's going to go all the way, folks. I can feel it. Kellen here, of course, was discorded for a time, but he's chilling. Nice sticky bombs there to pressure. Gungnan's in pretty low, but he's still doling out the healing to his backline. Duplicated Wrecking Ball here for one, but doesn't have nearly enough durability. Minefield dropped down by Kellen here just to make sure it's smooth sailing for New York, and so it is, as we're going to head into a third round.
Right, so one round to decide this series. This one's been dragged out all the way to the end.
Yeah.
So this is, this map has been close. It reminds me of a series we casted the other day, though, that it was just like kind of like blowout map versus blowout map for teams. Paris Eternal looks like they're going to try and make some changes here potentially. Dridro won't stay on the Lucio, probably just for a speed boost out of the spawn. Try and get some positioning because they want to put Vestol in the best spot possible with a Wob on the Sojourn.
Looks like New York's greatest boon is that echo play from Yaki. Flora here on your screen, though, stepping admirably up into that role there as Dridro. Looks like he, I mean, as he tries to sort of jump down, the connection is perfect with the pulse bomb. Yeah, the better look for New York might actually be when Yaki's not playing Tracer, not because he's not good at it, just because his echo was so good, but they're going to Tracer Sojourn here with the dive setup.
I feel like the sight lines are really good for the Sojourn here, especially over the point. You have to fight in this open space. There's going to be no shield for New York, so you kind of have free firing here with the Discord. So you feel like you're in a good spot using that hero.
Kellen was hoping to try and claim that sort of right side of the map for his team. There's just too much damage plus the Discord in play. Both Tracers just got nuked. Kellen will be able to walk away with that one. Wab again wants to just try and get some easy damage onto the Wrecking Ball, but losing Khan is huge. No Discord Orb now, which means Kellen gets to play that much more aggressively. Flora inside that Immortality field can be much more considered about how he tries to line up his foes in Dridro. Is his next prey? Wap right behind.
Flores looks sick on this hero when we've seen them play it. It's really odd that they just haven't committed to it for extended periods. Like they've kind of messed around with some other stuff throughout the series. But when he has been on the Sojourn, like his right click, the alternate fires, the railguns have looked really clean.
Power drive here from Kellen. A lot of disruptor fields, but Kellen's ignoring them as, of course, that hefty health pool means he can kind of do what he wants here. 2 rail kills for Flora. And again, this is why I raised the question about the floor of Sojourn, right? Just, you know, for these, every team has incredible DPS players, and you see what they can all have huge impact on this hero. That's 3 for Flora in this fight.
Especially at this level where everybody's aim is pretty insane and able to land those right clicks. Like if you can just get charged up. And this is where you think New York can be at their best, right? With Kellen on the Wrecking Ball, Yaki on the Tracer, and then now Flora picking up the Sojourn.
That rig is, done. Kellen's been camping this part of the map here. As it looks like Paris are hoping to avoid the sidelines that Flora could get by going through the tunnel, but New York just move up, take the tunnels, and put Flora in front of them.
And this is like in a map 1 scenario where Paris Eternal, when they had Dawn in, they were able to play a Wrecking Ball kind of composition and match it. They were able to play a Doomfist type of setup with Vistole, and those just are heroes that are in these pools.
Kellen drops down. Yeah, that's beautiful stuff. The Wrecking Ball play on point right now. Khan being removed here. Again, like I said, maybe Kellen can just do what he wants. No one can kill him. This is getting out of hand, Matt. This may not be close.
This is the New York you would want to see against like other teams, right? Like this level of play is kind of what you'd expect from this team. They haven't broke the whole series, but looking really good here in our final point. Pistola with a Gravitic Flux.
Yeah. This is the final gambit here for Paris. They need to make something happen with that Sigma ultimate, but Kellen just pile drives down, slows up the Eternal. They're going to have to go for a rally to propel them into the fray. Disrupt the shot from Flora onto the point here on Gungnan's been taken down here. Needs to be some multi-kill scenarios from backliners from New York to secure this, but looks like they don't quite have what they need here. They'll concede the point.
All right, can you run it back if you were the Paris Eternal? 99-0. I tell you what, you got some ultimates coming up, right? So you'll have the overclock, you get a pulse bomb, where Dove has been able to land those pretty consistently. Khan with the Transcendence. You're in a spot to get this to like about 60% just off of some of these ultimates, right? If you use them correctly.
Still, it's a long hold up to make. If he drops, it may well be over.
And he had no blinks and no recall there.
Yeah, gets out of jail in a big way in that one. Now wraps around, so looking for Zen. Trying to press him, Myungmong down, but Kellen, seen better days, to be sure. Somehow he stays alive, though. That's beautiful. Good burst healing there. Onto the Wrecking Ball. Flora able to get rid of Bubba's pretty big. Kellen eventually succumbs, and now Dove comes alive. Yeah, beautiful stuff. 2 kills and then removes that immortality field. That's what Paris needs more of here. This is still within their grasp.
Oh, absolutely. So they didn't really get anything with their overclock. Wub just going to stand out in the open trying to land some shots. As nice disruptor comes in from Flora. He ended up using the Transcendence there because Yaki was putting pressure on a con, got him pretty weak. But still, you have a Gravitic Flux coming up. There's no Transcendence on the other side. And you can get both supports out of this. And at that point, like I mentioned, you were going to get up to 60% off that fight, extend it a little bit. But you're in a position where if you win this fight, it actually could end up being the final fight. Like if both teams just, jockey for a position here for a bit.
The trick's to manufacture a pick here if you're in New York. There's no immortality field available for Paris, so if you lean heavily enough into them without, over-committing, there's a good chance you can start to punish them. Gangnam Jin loses his immortality field, so that was the only boon that New York had here in terms of their backline. Dove again stays alive. We're at 94% and counting now, and there's Myungmong already gone down. That's huge. There might have been a chance to have that Discord orb in play, but now that's off the table. Flora tries to slide on out of the Gravitic Flux, but he cannot escape. If it's stolen nose, he knows. This one might be done. Accretion on the Gangnam Jin, they're able to section off these New York players, and they deal with them. The Paris Eternal looked like they were sputtering out for a moment there, but now they're in position to get it done. Yaki needs to make a huge pulse bomb happen, but he's lost all of his teammates. He will get the Zenyatta, so Khan is down, but what else is there? What more can be done? Myungmong again, back to spawn instantly. Flora going to come back out on the Sombra here, and Dove has that pulse bomb. He wants to try and get rid of the Tracer, but Yaki found the health pack. He'll be able to avoid the pulse bomb dropped at his feet right now, but Yaki, can he do it? It's just too much on his plate. Gangnam Jin and Yaki now to fall. It's going to be Kellen dropping in to try and keep the dream alive, but Paris are determined. They just wanted more. Kellen will attempt to roll away, but finally, Paris get their first win of the season. It'll be 1-7 for the Eternal as they take down New York.
A big sigh of relief there, though, for Paris. You see the hugs all around. These teams, they practice so hard to kind of be in the position that they're in. Quite rough, and to go in today against New York and get a W, especially with Dove just joining this team. Didn't expect him to kind of come in and result in wins this fast, but you're able to get one in his first week.
I mean, just all of the adversity that this Paris roster has had to deal with over the course of this year is pretty unique to them, actually. No team has really had to try and create a winning recipe like, I guess, maybe Vancouver, if you want to include them in there. Again, a really tough schedule. These are the kind of maps that Paris have to win, right, to give them any sort of bank of wins when it comes to that postseason, if they can make a recovery here. But I've got to admit, this new signing, Matt, huge for them. Dove is going to be our player of the match for this particular series here, and it's pretty hard to deny. He's 1v1 Yaki, a really famed 1v1 player on the Tracer a lot of the time.
And the amount of times he was able to just come up with picks on the supports for New York, it just felt like time and time after again, Dove was able to get both supports out of the equation early in fights. Gonna see right there pretty much how things evened up, where Dove lands a pulse bomb, takes out a support, an immortality kill from Dridra on the other side. But man, first week, big performance here to get Paris a win.
Seeing a lot of individuals really being forced to step up over the course of this series on both teams, to be fair, right? We talked of Fastola at times, and Khan, especially on Colosseo, huge impact as Zenyatta, but over the course of the match, it was Dove. Really, really impressive work from the Tracer play primarily. We saw a little bit of Widowmaker action from Dove, but this, gives us a lot more confidence going forward in this DPS line that we have from the Eternal, right? We see that what Wub can play. He can pick up the Sojourn if he has to, but also the Genji, that's an option. Dove can fill that Tracer role really admirably. this team has what they need, and now that they're folding down into a few more of these compositions, and they're able to show that both their tanks are really valid on these different maps, there's depth here.
Yeah, I mean, the support line we know is good for the Paris Eternal. Jojo and Khan have looked really strong, probably been the bright spot of the team since they've joined. If you can kind of work around Don and Vistola and figure out what you got there in terms of who can play in what situations, you now have a young, exciting DPS core with Dove and Wub that we see they're like interchangeable, right? Like, Dove is sometimes playing, he played the Sojourn a little bit, Wub has played that throughout the series. We've seen him on Genji, and then Dove picks up some of the long-range hit scan. And this is just the beginning for these players, right? They're still really new into the league, so maybe it's something that they can kind of grow into, give themselves a chance. Like I mentioned, for the Countdown Cup, that play-in for the overall season playoff, 1 through 6 will get an auto invite from the West, but 7 through 10 play for those final 2 spots from the West. So put yourself in a position to be able to be in that type of play-in scenario, and maybe you can make a run here for the Paris Eternal later in the season.
Yeah, keep your eyes on this Eternal team. They've shown that they can get their victory here in this series. Now they need to start to chain a few of those together. Stick around, of course. We've got another match to come on our Super Sunday. Don't go too far, everybody. This is, of course, week 1 of your Midseason Madness qualifier.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Upper Deck, the official trading card of the Overwatch League. And by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
welcome to Game Break, everybody. I'm here joined now by Dridro from Paris Eternal. Dridro, I have to say, I know some people would say this is a dumb question, but I think it's a much needed one. First victory for the Paris Eternal. How are you feeling?
It feels really good to get our first win. We're all working really hard in the team, so we are really happy, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, I have to talk about your plays too. I do feel like your bat play today just came in clutch. And of course, as we're seeing right now, your brig was amazing too. But I was really impressed by how you use your immortality fields to sort of, protect your teammates against Yaki's pulse bombs. I don't know, like when I feel like because you guys really needed this win, and like when those kind of things happen, like you tend to get nervous as a human being, but when it matters the most, you on the other hand seem to just go crazy, and you were just dominant. Like how do you do that?
I'm not sure. I was just really I wanted to win really bad, so I was staying focused.
Okay, and of course, I do want to sort of touch up on the meta as well. I personally do believe that the Paris Eternal do look a lot better compared to last stage. How about you guys, Dridro? Do you guys feel a lot more comfortable, or are you guys sort of trying to work things out right now?
We're still working things out, but this meta feels way better for us. Can and I can shine a bit more. And we have a new DPS player as well, he's doing really well. I mean, both are doing really well, Web and Dove. So yeah, this meta is good for us.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are doing really well. I'm super excited to see more from the Paris Eternal. And with that being said, Dridro, I'm going to end the interview here. Again, big congratulations on your first win.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. Dridro, and Paris Eternal gets the first W on the board. Thank God we all predicted them.
Yeah, woohoo! Good job. Let's go!
Okay, listen, this was so close though, so like, no one can give me any crap for that.
Not even close.
Imagine picking New York.
Imagine. Hey, I think there's a lot to unpack, so let's dive straight into it because, quite frankly, there were high and low lights on both sides of the fence here. So maybe walk us through here.
I think there were improvements from both teams. As you said, from their previous results, I think they looked a little bit better. But as you said, there was some fumbling of the bag here and there. There were some weak moments. But, I really like the direction that these teams are heading in. I like how the Paris Eternal are putting Dunn in, playing that Wrecking Ball. It looks pretty good. The Gibraltar, not so much when they had him in the lineup. But overall, I like their dive style. They can put Dridro over onto that brig, and that sort of enables them to sort of like play in that dive style. But then also when you have Vistola coming into play, that Sigma also looks good on top of that. But the ultimate thing I want to talk about is Dove. His second match in the league.
Yeah.
We know he went toe-to-toe on the Widowmaker, but everything else looked a little bit shaky in his first match. But today on the Tracer,